Hey guys, it's yours truly. It's November 20th, 2023, and this is New Trainz Part 65. This one is exclusive only to the Western Oregon Railroad. It's a new railroad that well, technically it was already started because these two locomotives here are painted for the Western Oregon. Um, from the information I gathered, it was a club layout somewhere, and randomly I was popping up on eBay to look at stuff, and I looked at one of these engines, and you guys saw it in part 64. This is the engine that started it all, RS3 on number 317, and then from there I just started making my own engines. So 317 started off, and then I made the 318, which is the first RS3M that I built. It uses an Atlas Classic RS3. The Jeep 9 long hood is from the front range shell, just like the number 317. And then from the 318, it went to the 215, which is an RSC2M, which has been re-engined with an EMD 567 engine. And then the next engine on the roster came in the form of, I believe, the RSD5M, which is the same thing as an which is the same thing as an RS3M, but it's an RSD5. This also came from the club because they're both in the same paint scheme, and I snatched this one up because I wanted it because it was very cool. Then I got the two H8660s from Atlas. These actually were from Relco. So this is the early Relco scheme. This is the later Relco scheme. I took the lettering off this one, which took a lot of time, and I had Western Oregon decals made. And these are H8660Ms because they've been repowered with EMD engines as well. And these three are probably the only ones at HO scale like this, because I haven't seen anyone else that has actually redone any of these types of engines with EMD engines before. So I capped off the original exhaust stacks here, and these are from Canon Company or Details West, I think. Um, then from these two, um, and this one, the 215, then I got the unmodified RSC2, which is painted in Milwaukee Road Heritage Scheme. I call it a Heritage Scheme because it's a Heritage unit. And I just decaled it using microscale decals. So that's the unmodified RSC2. Then from this engine, I made my first bicentennial unit. So I custom painted this one and decaled it. I used a combination of Rock Island, Chicago Northwestern microscale bicentennial decals, and I used Grand Trunk Western decals, and I used my own custom decals from the Western Oregon. As you can see by the details, all the yellow was hand painted by me using Gundam paint markers. Oh, by the way, all the engines that I did are painted with Tamiya paints. So Tamiya paints and everything. This is all Tamiya paint. This is red, pure white, and brilliant blue, and then silver leaf for the trucks. This one I bought off of eBay, and it was already heavily modified with the SP style headlight package and the angled number boards. And yeah, I picked this unit up because I just wanted it because it's perfect for this. And then I repowered it with another 567. So the exhaust stacks are from the Kato NW2s with the extra exhaust stacks, like they have the short ones and tall ones. So I used the short ones for this unit, and I used the tall ones for this unit here. And it's numbered for 1776. And I made it just in time for our country's bicentennial. So then after this engine came these two units. Now, these two units are pretty cool for multiple reasons, and let me explain why. I found these at Nicholas Smith Trainz a couple weeks ago. This is one of the new runs of the Atherogenesis Jeep 9s. I paid $125 for this one because the railings were broken, which they're not. They just popped out. But I paid $125 for it. The only problem with this engine was the speaker was terrible because it had a puncture in it. So I replaced the speaker with a Bowser double cubed sugar speaker. So they come in the housing and everything. Let me see if I can just pull one out. Here it is. Here you go. These are the speakers that I use. And all I did was just cut the plug off and then just soldered it to the board or to the wires that were there. But these fit in like hood units, like Jeeps, Alcos, switchers, you know, any type of narrow hood unit. So these are the speakers I use, and they had the best sound. Um, Let me just give you a demonstration real quick. Okay, so yeah, I paid 125 bucks for this one, and I also did all the weathering on it. Yeah. Now, moving on from this engine, because this engine I bought at the same time, I also paid $125 for this one. This is one of the Rapido F69, F59 PH units, and the issue with this one was the back headlight didn't work, which is not true because I replaced the decoder with with this decoder, and the backlight actually works now. So the ESU decoder in this engine was junk. It ran fine, but the decoder was all jacked up. So let me just put this one on the track and let you guys hear it. Oh, and I lettered it for the Western Oregon because this is actually one of their passenger units. And I used flat clear on this one. Oh, and I also did the striping on the front nose right there. That's a decal from the Walther's Metroliner, or Walther's Phase 3 1998 to 1996 sheet. I think that's the right one. It's the one where you can get the bumblebee stripes for the Metroliner cab car. But anyway, let me just put this on, put the sound on for you guys to hear. So the speaker I also used was the Bowser Sugar Cube speaker in this one. So it still has one of the iPhone speakers in the rear, but the primary speaker is the Bowser Sugar Cube speaker, and I had to put that in there because one of the iPhone speakers had a raspy type of rattle sound to it, and it turns out that speaker was faulty. So I had to figure out which wires were which because all the wires for the speakers are the same color. But I figured that out, and that's what speakers in this one. That's pretty much all the speakers that I use right now for these. Let me put these on the track so you guys can hear them. I've actually done separate videos with these, but I want you to hear what these sound like. Now, this particular HH660M has the factory Atlas speaker in it because this is the DCC ready version. This is the newer version. This is the early version, which didn't come with the speaker. And the board in this one is actually different than the plug-and-play one in this one. So let me start this one up for you guys. So that's this one. So this has the M5 horn, and this has the non-transition 567. This one actually has the early P5 and the transition 567. And this has the the Bowser speakers, but they're facing up because I couldn't face them down. So yeah, that's the twins, as I call them, the Western Oregon twins. I'm thinking about getting a third unit, but I'm not sure just yet. Oh, but briefly going off of the Western Oregon, this is the Western Jeep 28M number 229. Now, you guys that have seen the Diesel Detailer should know about this engine because this is the exact engine that was on that forum. I think his name was Eric Miller. He actually built this based off of the BN Jeep 28M rebuilds. Now, when he first built it, he put a Kato motor in it, Kato trucks, Tsunami sound, but then when he sold it, he took everything out. So when I got a hold of it, I put a new Genesis motor in it, rechucked it with Kato F-unit trucks, and I recently just installed a Tsunami 2 decoder in it. So this is what it sounds like now. So yeah, that's this engine. So that was a fun project to do, and that's what I've been doing mostly now. Has been installing DCC and sound in my engines. So I've been teaching myself how to do it. I know there's books out there to show you how, but I'm not really interested in reading those books right now. I just don't have the patience. And then moving on back to the Western Oregon roster, this is an oddball engine here. Now, you guys have seen a brief video of this. This is the RSC-14M, which is basically a repowered RSC-14, but it has a non-turbo 645 engine in it. And this is from the recent release Rapido did with the RSC-14s, and I picked one up, non-sound of course, and I just plugged in the Tsunami 2 decoder. The exhaust, the spark arresters are from Cowscale, and then I plated over the factory exhaust, and then I added the 2-chime brass horns here because the horns on here were plastic. I don't know why they put plastic horns on these engines. Another thing that was a little bit of an issue for me was the brake chain here. The way it's set up, you can't take the body shell off without disconnecting the air cylinders from the trucks. So in order to take the shell off, you have to take the air cylinders off the trucks before you can pop off the shell because of the brass chains. I just removed those entirely because it was just a hassle. So it doesn't have the brake chains anymore. But other than that, it's a great engine. It's really heavy, and I am planning on getting a second one of these because I got to have a pair of these engines. And usually 6-axle power is for the heavier trains, but this has an A1A design, so technically it was made for branch line work, but I like it, so let me just start it up for you guys. Oh, there's one other pet peeve I don't like about it. The speakers that they used, they for whatever reason, the speakers in now, they don't sound as loud. Well, you guys will hear in a second. And the volume's turned up, by the way, for the decoder. I think it might be off the track. Oh, there it is. It's off the track. See what I mean? The prime mover sound is not loud enough. And I chose the 645 non-turbo because it's the loudest one. Like, when I tweaked with the sounds, this one came out the loudest, but for whatever reason, it doesn't sound as loud as these other engines here. And I was going to replace the speaker, but the way that they have the board wired, it's so complicated to unplug everything that I just decided to leave it alone, because I was going to replace the speaker with the Bowser speakers, but the way that they wired it is so complicated and how you have to unplug everything and unravel everything, I just left it alone. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and I did decal it for the Western Oregon. And these decals, by the way, were made by Circus City Decals. So I designed them, and then Matt actually makes them, because that's who I usually go through. Next, this is not Western Oregon. Well, I originally bought it for the Western Oregon roster, but I changed my mind. This is the second FL9 that I bought. I actually, no, I can't. Yeah, I actually installed the MU cables on the front with the ditch lights, and I wired them up, so they actually do work. Oh, and I put DCC and sound in this one too. This one still has its original factory speakers in it, because I didn't need to change them, but I did the non-transition era 567. So yeah, that was the same 21 pin decoder that I've been buying and been installing in these engines. So Tsunami 2, Tsunami 2, Tsunami 2. Don't get me wrong, I like ESU, but for whatever reason, the last couple of ESU decoders I've had in my possession, they have been junk. Literally junk. So that's why I've been buying these, because it's $100 a decoder, which is not bad, but yeah, but they've been junk, and I don't understand why. So I just been popping in these decoders, and I like the way they sound. I need to get these two programmed because I want the ditch lights to be on both of these when they go forward, and then when they go in reverse, I want the marker lights to pop on, and I want to be able to turn the not ditch lights, the number boards on and off. I'm very limited to this power pack here. I'm still using this, I know, but it's what I got, so I'm using it. Next, let's talk about the BL20-2, because you guys have seen videos with this engine. You saw like videos of it running, but I really haven't gone into any details about it. So this is actually the first prototypically done locomotive. Well, no, second, because the first prototype train I actually did was the jet train. That's the first. Okay, that's the first. This is the second, and so my buddy John actually had a couple BL20-2 shells that he made years ago. He had 3 of them, I think, 3 or 2, and he didn't know what to do with them, and I just said, hey, would you be interested in selling one of them to me? He's like, I'll think about it. So eventually he said, yeah, sure, I'll sell one to you. So I got the shell, and I started I had a bunch of parts already for it, but then I had to get other parts, and I tried to mimic the actual number 120. The only difference between mine and the real one is the EMD logo is missing here, and I did that for a reason. I was like, you know what, I want to do like a retro type scheme. um, what held the project up was certain parts didn't arrive. Actually, they got lost. So the original beacon that I ordered, antennas and stuff like that, they got lost in the mail, which actually delayed the project. This is actually painted also using Tamiya paints. It's French, I think this is French blue, pure white, and grimy black for the nose. The chassis, so the shell is a combination of a front range Jeep 9 frame sill, a Jeep 60M, or not Jeep 60M, a Jeep 60, so from here up here, it's Jeep 60. This is from a Jeep 38 dash 2, Jeep 38-2, just like how you would make it from that one issue on Model Railroad magazine. And then those are ditch lights right there. Those are supposed to be for those, I forget what those flashy lights that they had on them were called. But I did all the details, the coupler lift bars, the MU cables, the plow, the air hoses, the grab irons, the rotary beacon, the antennas, the eye bolts, or the lift rings, I should say, the lift rings, I did all the details. And the chassis is a front range chassis, and the trucks are Atlas Jeep 38 trucks. So I still have the original Mishima motor in here, but I had to custom make drive shafts from a combination of Kato and other parts of styrene just to get these trucks to work. No, it's Kato. So the worm gear is Atlas. The drive shaft is from the original front range drive, because the front range trucks were junk on here. So I had to replace them on this unit here. But yeah, um, yeah, and this engine sounds amazing. It's got the turbo 567D, or 560. Well, I think it's a 567D, but let's just call it a turbo 567. And I chose that because it sounds appropriate for this engine. So let me just start it up for you guys. So yeah, that's this unit here. Um, yeah, and the side railings here I had to bend. Those were custom bent by me. Over here, these were custom bent. Um, the front ones, John did. These I custom bent. The back ones are from the front range Jeep 9 shell, which they actually fit appropriately. The toilet hatch I had to custom make because that was lost in the mail too. So I lost the, yeah, I like a whole bunch of parts that were supposed to be delivered to me. They got lost in the mail, and I had to literally, like, it literally stopped me from building this engine because I was waiting for parts to come in. And I basically got fed up. I said I can't wait anymore. I'll just make my own, which I did. I mean, I got a refund, so. But yeah, that's a cool engine right there. Then following after that, if I can get it uncoupled, this is a Atlas Classic uh, Amtrak Jeep 7. I believe this is an ex-Frisco unit, and I tried to mimic the real 760. So I found pictures online. The 760 actually had two sets of number boards in its career. It had the white number boards with the black lettering, and it had the black number boards with the white lettering. So I did both sets on this engine. Um, this is how I bought it. The one railing here is broken. I still need to find that, but I detailed it. I did some weathering on it, although it's dusty. I put the appropriate horn on here. It doesn't have DCC, but I will put DCC in it eventually. But yeah, I have two Amtrak Jeep 9s now, one in the pumpkin scheme and then one in the Phase 3 scheme. That'll look good with my CF7 that I have too. And then moving on back to the ER&W, I bought a steam generator car, which this is going to be used for one of my work trains. And I just put the decals on it. And then I also bought another Masabi ore car here. Moving on up here, this is from, let me see, Oshishan. I'm not pronouncing the name right, but you guys can see the name there. This is one of their new power generator cars. So it's an HEP car, and two of these cars can handle the entire, like, Southern, I think it's called the Southern Cross. I know one train that uses them is called the the GAN, Ghan. Two of these cars handle those consists, so they basically put one for one half of the consist and then the other for the other half of the consist. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if it was like a what if Amtrak actually had something similar? So I bought one of these cars and I decaled it into Amtrak. Yeah, and it actually looks really cool. This actually is a sound equipped car, although the decoders haven't been made yet. But as soon as they are, I am going to order one of the decoders and install it, because this is a sound car. Like, you can see the switches underneath for the lights. But yeah, this is supposed to have sound in it for the generator sets, which is really cool. Moving on, there's another car that I did for my work train. It's a X Via Rail baggage car. This is actually going to be the tool car. So I custom decaled this one myself. And you guys are probably looking at this. This is a extremely rare Ryko DB sightseeing train. Would you believe it? I paid like $50 or $60 for this at Nicholas Smith Trains months ago. I looked online. These are going for over $200, people. Like, this is a $200 train that I paid $60 for. And I was thinking about putting DCC in it, but I looked at the motor, which is like one of those little teeny pancake motors. I said no. I said I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to worry about that. So for now, let me just put it over here. It still works and everything. It's brand new. It hasn't been used at all. It's brand new. Hasn't been used at all, and it was just sitting in the case for, oh man, since as long as I can remember. Nobody bought it, and it was just sitting there and sitting there. I'm like, why not? I'll just buy it. Little did I know it was worth $200.